Recently, I did a review of Worlds of Fun's Halloween event, an event that I did all the way back in 2019, but I thought it was worth to bring to everybody's attention because I consider it to be one of the best Halloween events in America. Now, granted, I have not experienced Knott's Scary Farm, but I did mention that I had gone to Halloween Horror Nights, which is the primary Halloween event of all of United States of America, both located at the Universal Studios Hollywood Resort and the Universal Studios in Orlando Resort. And I did the one in Orlando. This video is going to be me reviewing that and sharing my thoughts and opinions on Halloween Horror Nights, because I'm sure after hearing what I had to say about Worlds of Fun, some people are curious about what my thoughts might be on this event. So let's dive right in. This event, just like Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, is a separated, ticketed event for Universal. So the day opens up normally, as Universal Studios is, then the park closes early, and then Halloween Horror Nights begins later on. If I recall, Halloween Horror Nights was from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. It was either 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., one of those two, but I know it ended at 2 a.m. Unlike Mickey's Not So Scary, where it's only on select dates throughout, this one at Universal, every day was Halloween Horror Nights. Now, if I recall, I think Monday and Tuesday they didn't do it, and then Wednesday through Sunday was Halloween Horror Nights. And this was a visit that I did back in September of 2023. So just as a side note, this was kind of fun for my friend Brian and I, because this ended up being our longest stay at a theme park ever. We got there right before 8 a.m. when the park opened, and we didn't end up leaving the gates until a little bit after 3 a.m. Our longest time ever at a park, and we were trashed. Now, we'll get into a little bit later why we were trashed at the end of our night, but that was cool. I mean, when else are you going to be able to spend that amount of time at a theme park? So that was cool. We spent our day doing the regular part of the park, and then it was time to do Halloween Horror Nights. This was a visit that only Brian and I did. Kaylee did not join us on the Halloween Horror Nights adventure. So we get ready for the event, and if you're a Floridian, you already know what I'm about to say. Mother Nature was not too kind to us. While we were getting ready in line so we can try to get in line, and we were trying to do as many mazes as possible, unfortunately, with the way the lines were set up for the one that we did, we were outside when this massive typical Floridian thunderstorm came through and just completely drenched us. It was not fun, to say the least, and it didn't help that afterwards temperatures did drop to cold temperatures for Florida, and being soaked did not help that out at all. I think, honestly, that storm and getting drenched did not help our situation out, and so that is definitely an asterisk to this review. The storm happened right at the beginning of Halloween Horror Nights, and it rained for a little bit during on, so the biggest unfortunate thing was seeing the lack of scare zones, because being outdoors, you couldn't really have the characters going out with the thunderstorms, which I totally understand. It was just more of an unfortunate circumstance. We did, towards the end, get to see some of the scare zones, which were awesome. But obviously, that's not what people are here for. People are here for these mazes. Now, I'm used to Halloween Haunt at King's Dominion, Howl-O-Scream at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, Fright Fest at Six Flags America, and even recently I did Hershey Park's Dark Nights. There, the characters interact with you. It's more cautious space, but the mazes are on the shorter side. These mazes threw me off because they are different. Now, first, let me just praise, oh my gosh, the theming in these mazes, and the fact that they change them every year is astounding to me. That is the best part of this whole thing. There is incredible amount of theming, large structures, some animatronics, and other beautiful things that go on in these mazes, and they're long, which makes it awesome. But this is a personal critique. I'm not a fan of the audio and visual cueing for their scares. Spoiler alert, I apologize if that is a spoiler to you, but for these mazes, unlike characters actually coming up and screaming in your face or doing whatever they can to scare you, they rely on their own audio and visual cues. So you'll walk by a spot and all of a sudden there's a speaker nearby and it does some loud music or something like that to kind of jump you. There'll usually be like a strobe light or something, and then that character comes out and kind of moves all over the place to kind of scare you and stuff like that. For me personally, it didn't work. There were some mazes that it did. Actually, the Chucky maze got me the most out of all the mazes in terms of scares. That one was really good, but it just threw me off because I was already like, okay, the audio is there and the visuals are there, but it's not really getting me. So that's just my personal critique with the mazes. But in terms of theming, wow. That Fire and Ice one, or the Dueling Dragons kind of similar one where you take different pathways, my gosh, I don't think I've seen more theming in a maze than that one. I was blown away. That was cool. So that already was awesome, and so I got to give them props for the theming of the mazes. But I think the one that Brian and I were really shocked about was the quality of the show that happens. There's a theater over by the Men in Black dark ride, and there was this show. I don't have any footage because when we went to this event, they said, do not film this, so I didn't. But you can look it up online during the media stuff. This show, whoa, that was awesome. It is raunchy, but wow, it is a lot of fun. There's some great stunts. There's some great fire effects. I love the music with it. The whole show was just awesome, and it was insanely long. Brian and I afterwards were just absolutely stunned in a positive way of how awesome this show really was. It was the only show of the night, but that was completely fun. Overall, I really, really, really love this event. Personally, I don't really connect well with how they scare you in the mazes, but besides that, all the theming with the mazes were absolutely wonderful. And then when we did get to experience some of the scare zones, the props and the characters that were there were a lot of fun, and that show is absolutely spectacular. My only other critique I would want to say in this review is the queuing situation for these mazes. Oh my gosh, I have never seen so many just bike rack switchbacks that are endless. And most of them are just exposed. There's no canopies. There are some by the mazes over by Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket. But besides that, it's just, I'm not a fan. That's just me personally. But I will say it is still astonishing just to see the sea of bike racks that never end, and the amount of people that are just in these queue lines just forever and ever. I remember when our first maze that we did, which was the Stranger Things maze, I mean, we went all over the place. We first started off in part of the Jimmy Fallon queue, and then it took us through Rip Ride Rocket and around Rip Ride Rocket. Then we had a set of grid right in front. Then it went through, then down, then back up through two different mazes. And it just never ended. When you thought you were close, no, you just kept going. That was insane. And some of these lines were absolutely absurd. I think we waited like an hour for each of the mazes, or a little bit longer. I know that's not too much. I think we waited a little bit more at some of them for like 80 minutes. We did not get a chance to do all the mazes. I think we missed out on 2, but we did luck out towards the end and did our final one, which is The Last of Us. The Last of Us was interesting because that one didn't even open up till like the last hour or 2 of the night. And so we were able to get there right at 1:59 a.m. and we're able to complete that. And thankfully that was only like a 30-minute wait, while all of our other mazes were close to like an hour of some sort. It was absolutely insane. We did not get a skip the line pass for any of the stuff. We just bared with it and just tried to hunker through, and we did as much as we could. So be advised that that is going to be something going forward. And we went on a Wednesday, so lines are going to be insane. This is a very, very popular Halloween event. So if you have the money, definitely splurge on a skip the line. But other than that, you're just going to have the hunker and just realize that A, bring an umbrella. Oh, we are definitely not from Florida. And B, just be prepared, because maybe if there's not a thunderstorm, you may still have the sun early on. And once the sun sets, you should be fine. And just be prepared for endless amount of switchbacks. And just when you think you're ready to do the maze, you still got another 30 minutes to wait. But besides that, I know it sounds like I'm critiquing it, but this is just my personal thoughts. Overall, I really, really do like this event. And if you are a spooky junkie or a horror junkie, you have to check it out. I think it's also incredible that every single event, every different year, they have different mazes. So the mazes that we experienced last year, I don't think any of them are here this year. Now, sometimes you get renditions. Like, I know Chucky kind of usually reappears every once in a while. They have a Ghostbusters one this year, if I recall, and they did Ghostbusters a couple years ago. So mazes will return, especially on their popularity. But still, I mean, that is cool that they can do a maze. Then they'll completely tear down that maze after the event and restart a whole new storyline and build all new props and get that ready for when Halloween Horror Nights starts again. This event, by the way, does go from beginning of September all the way until I think sometime in November. So absolutely fun. Just be prepared. It's not going to be your typical local park Halloween event. This is definitely you're at a resort, and just be prepared for insane lines. But if you love theming and if you love storytelling with the mazes, you'll love this. Just be advised, there's scares for the most part. I would say like 95% of the scares in the mazes themselves are audio and visually cued. But other than that, this place slaps. So that's going to be my thoughts on Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios Orlando. If you've been to this event, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this event. If you made it to the end of this video and you did enjoy it, go ahead and give this video a big old thumbs up, as this helps the channel out greatly as I'm trying to continue to grow this channel. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, roller coaster fanatics, keep coasting.